what this mindset is that the Passover the Passover Haggadah, the Passover celebration that Messianics and Jews celebrate today, is the same service and the same traditions that happened in the first century during Yeshua's time. And one of the reasons that people think this is because if you look in the accounts of Yeshua's Last Supper, for instance, in Luke 22, you have a lot of different elements that go on. So, for instance, you'll see multiple cups being drank, and people see, aha, see, here are the 4 cups that we have in the Passover Seder. And actually, I've heard teachers, and even my father at times has preached about how these cups represent salvation and redemption and all these kind of things, and how Yeshua is drinking this cup and it meant this, and so people will actually base their sermons around these kind of notions of these 4 cups. You also have things like reclining at table. He was reclining at table, as Paul already pointed out. People say, aha, see, look here. This is because he was leaning to show his freedom, as is the custom within the Passover tradition. Or you'll have, there's all sorts of different things that we can find within the accounts of Yeshua. And people say, aha, see, look, they're in the Seder, and this means that the Seder that we have today actually goes back to the first century. Well, I hate to burst everyone's bubble, but nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, most of the tradition that we have in the modern day Seder comes either from the rabbis trying to explain things that they've read in first century tradition, or giving a meaning to something that was already in their Seders. And what I mean by that is, so for instance, let's take the perfect example is this reclining at table. Reclining at table was not a Jewish custom. Reclining at table is actually a Roman custom. And the Roman custom of reclining at table was there are actually rooms that were built around this custom called triclinium. The triclinium were 3-sided, like on 3 walls. You had benches, large, long benches that people could lay down, and there were pillows on them. They'd basically lay down. The servants would come into the room from the side that didn't have a bench on it. They would perform, and they would bring in all the food and whatnot. The food was placed on like one big table, and people would kind of be able to dip and get things out of the different bowls. And actually, when we see the dipping that Yeshua does in the Passover stories within the apostolic scriptures, the dipping is not because of the tradition of dipping your parsley or anything like that. It actually has to do with Roman custom of banquets. And so I know I've been talking for a very long time. I'll let you get in here in a few seconds, Rob. To wrap all of this up, basically what happens is by the time the 4th century comes around and the Mishnah is written down, you have the rabbis saying, you have people saying, well, why are we reclining at table? Well, this is actually a holdover from Roman banquet custom. It has nothing to do with freedom, or has nothing to do with the Passover Seder, has nothing to do with any of that. And the rabbis say, oh, well, let's see here. The reason that we recline at table is because we once were slaves and now we're free. So in other words, they attach a meaning to it. That's not the original reason that they reclined at table. They attach a Jewish meaning to a Roman custom. And what is interesting about this is that they do that for a lot of the Passover Seder. In fact, the Passover Seder that we have within Jewish custom today is pretty much almost, I would say, a significant amount of it it comes into tradition that way. It was not around in the first century. And if it was around in the first century, it was because of Roman tradition. Okay, Rob, I'm going to throw it over to you because I could go on and on and on. Go.
Well, I was just looking from the perspective of the Greek verb to recline.
Right.
It's not just used for Passover.
Right.
In the apostolic writings. For example, it's used in Mark 6, where it's describing Herod's party where he was, had the young girl. He's like, I'll give you, whatever you want, etc. And she asked for the head of John the Baptist. And there's other places too where it's clearly not Passover. I think it's where it's in John, where Lazarus and Martha are having a meal with Yeshua and they're reclining. It's not a Passover.
Thank you so much for watching this video. Tell us your thoughts on this subject by leaving a comment in the comment section. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and enable those notifications. And we'll see you in the next video.